Welcome back to the weekly news roundup, and our Quicklines edition is a little bit shorter this week, I gotta say, but hopefully it should still be just as fun. Who knows? Let me know if you like the shorter version of it as well. We will see. So let's go ahead and jump on in. A researcher drops a new VS Code 0 day after losing trust in Microsoft's disclosure process. This is yet another one. And by the way, the Cyber Nightmare, or whatever that guy's name is, that released a whole bunch of them, and Microsoft threatened. Yeah, he released another one too. I was just like, I didn't want to burden you too much with all these 0 days, but yeah, Microsoft is getting weird. And I started to think about what could happen there. What if Microsoft uses its money to fund politicians to completely make it illegal to do any form of disclosure without telling a company for 60 days, So basically they could force people to use some system, and they could even write it that they're not even responsible to pay for those bugs. So they could do that. And I could see Microsoft being that short-sighted where they might want to accomplish something like that. But I think they probably wouldn't do that, because what would end up happening, well, actually, they might do it, but they shouldn't do it, because if they did that, what's going to happen is you're going to drive all the marketing into the dark web, and people will, if they realize that Microsoft is just completely abusing everybody forever, they're just going to turn to the one place that will pay them for it, and that is the bad faith acting hackers. And so Microsoft is treading some really dangerous ground here, and they need to get their head out of their rear end and figure it out. So effectively, if they don't clean up their program and have a reasonable, safe, and useful means of people coming in and actually finding the bugs, reporting them, getting paid, and getting their credit, which helps their career as a white hat hacker. If Microsoft continues to abuse them or utilizes their power to overrun that and force them to go through that, they're just going to get paid on the dark web. And they're going to release these things, not just neutral to the world, but specifically to the people who start paying the most. Microsoft is so short-sighted, they might try to pass laws to prevent this, but at the same time, if they do, it'll make things infinitely worse. What Microsoft needs to do is get its head out of its rear end, get the AI out of the reporting system, start giving credit to the people that find their bugs, and pay them. You do that, you're going to go a whole long way, because I'll tell you what, there's one thing, if you listen to like the r/, and other Reddit reading posts, you learn this fundamental thing. You don't mess with the IT guy. Okay. You don't do it. And what Microsoft is risking doing is messing with every IT guy who can find the faults in their system. But another one came out. So security researcher Amar Askar found a new 0 day in Visual Studio Code, told a contact at GitHub about it, and published a working exploit 1 hour later. No 90-day window, no coordinated disclosure, no MSRC ticket. The researcher just dropped the POC on the internet because he'd been through MSRC process before and decided once was enough. Okay, so he said it's valid for every public and private repo the user can access. So any public or private repo you can access as a user, he can get into on any given user, just by simply doing something that's actually available in the GUI. It's kind of funny. So he was direct about why he skipped the responsible disclosure. Last time I interacted with MSRC regarding reporting a VS Code bug, it was a horrible experience where they silently fixed the bug I pointed out without any credit. They marked it as not having any security impact. I mentioned in my post, going forward, I would be doing full public disclosure for any security bugs I find in VS Code. Taking a look at the recent report by Star Labs on a VS Code XSS bug marked as ineligible and low severity, it doesn't look like MSRC has gotten any better about the VS Code bugs. And of course, they mentioned that, if you've been following the case with the other guy with Chaotic Eclipse, I think it was Chaotic Nightmare or Nightmare Eclipse, I think it was his own name. The comparison to Chaotic Eclipse writes itself. That researcher recently released 6 0 days without any advance notice, 3 of which were confirmed exploited in the wild before patches existed. Motivation involves a broken agreement and being left homeless, what he says. He apparently has receipts, so it'll be interesting to see if he brings forth such receipts. But threatening researchers with lawyers tends to not generate goodwill among the hacking community. Yeah, yeah. I mean, these people are doing a good deed for you. Don't piss them off. Especially when you're Microsoft and you're vibe coding your operating system now. All right. When the company receiving that work silently patches it, strips the credit, and marks it as low severity, the incentive to keep feeding that process collapses. So that's actually an update. Our main story here, I'm choosing not to be here because it was just had the funniest commentary. So we've been talking about AI data centers, and AI data centers do have serious problems. We need to slow down on the deployment. And hey, you need to keep these things cool. You need to keep these things around some water. Why don't we build them on Antarctica? You know, there's not a lot of people down there to do crazy things. You're not going to interfere with the rest of society. We have the infrastructure to pass the data back and forth as quickly as we need. Why want to destroy farm fields? Of course, I did see and commented. I left a very nice comment on it. I did see a post on X this morning, and it was all these climate control people were all mad about the cows until they needed data centers, and I responded to it and I said, well, I mean, to be fair to them, once you put a data center in every former farm field in America, you really have seriously solved that cow problem. So there's always that. But you need to keep these things cold. Put them in Antarctica. No one else is there. You know what I mean? Minimal staff. You have them on month-long rotations. Build an amazing bunker. I'd go down and babysit the machinery for a month at a time in Antarctica. That'd be a fun job. You wouldn't have to pay me a lot. It'd be cool. I'd enjoy it. So that's what y'all need to do. But as the data center debate has been gearing up, both right-leaning states and left-leaning states, people are mad. Like, this might join us together. We might have that meme from Predator. You got the Arnold Schwarzenegger and his old friend there from the CIA. Locking hands. Right and the left might come together against data centers soon in the general public. Because what we're seeing more often than not is the community is jumping out and being like, we do not want these data centers. We don't want them at all. And the city officials just going, we don't really care, And so it's creating a lot of ill will in the various communities these are going in. Well, Governor Whitmer in Michigan got caught on a hot mic bragging to Oracle CEO about brushing off Michiganders' data center concerns. Oh, we're used to people saying F no, and we're doing it anyway. That's right. How wonderful. You people up there in Michigan, y'all better vote this creature out. Vote this creature out of politics entirely. This is the same person that told people you can't run your business during the koofy koofs, but she could go do her stuff. And then her husband had the gonads, or lack thereof, to try and go out on the lake with his boat when there was actually an ordinance against it from Whitmer. And when somebody tried to stop him, like some officer tried to stop him, he says, "Don't interfere with me. I'm the governor's husband." Get this lady out of here, folks. She is a psycho. I don't know if we have audio on that or not. There should be audio. Maybe I just didn't test my audio up. Let me try this. If you guys can hear audio, I can't hear audio on that. For whatever reason, my audio system is not feeding back to me correctly. But apparently she actually says, we're used to people saying F no and doing it anyway. So, of course, this is Libs of TikTok, is a right-leaning person, so she says the Democrats don't care about you. I got news for you. This is happening in right-leaning states and in left-leaning states. In fact, I'd say it's probably happening more in right-leaning states than in left-leaning states because they're driving for more business, and right-leaning tends to be more wrong on the data center and technology, and then do the Democrats. The township board voted against the data center 4-1. Whitmer said, let him eat cake. That's right. And so that's not just Whitmer. That has happened in several red states as well. Just to point out, these people, these politicians, they're not caring about you. So, whatever that happens to be worth. A Meta Instagram recovery flaw exposed more than 20,000 accounts. Yeah, by the way, this was AI. So Basically, if you had lost your account, because of course you did, because everyone does eventually, and there's no human you can get a hold of, you have to go through the AI system. Well, you could just go ahead and feed it some information and get a simple unlock code to anything you wanted. It was kind of neat. The fastest route to 1,000 Instagram accounts was not a stolen password. It was the recovery system designed to restore all the accounts. That's right. And so effectively they had the attack chain enabled a successful password reset. Meta's disclosure suggested successful account takeovers were primarily linked to accounts without two-factor authentication. However, some people actually said Bleeping Computer noted that hackers bypassed Meta's face verification checks using an animated image of their target. Hey, where'd they get that from? Data centers. At the same time, another report claimed that a VPN was used to make it appear the hacker was from the same geographic location. So these hackers are going in here. They know everything about you because data centers, and they're basically spinning up a VPN, going to your general geographic area, utilizing a video they found on you online, and accessing your account. Of course, once they access the account, Meta says no information about which victim's data may have been stolen. The company says virtual all information stored within the user's account could have been accessed. So if anybody had their account taken over by this scam, you assume everything on that account, public and private, is compromised. And there's a reason to not put stuff on the internet. The incident is a reminder that account recovery is now part of the attack surface. Even when passwords and 2FA are in place, recovery workflows can become a weak door to the back of the house. That is right, folks. That is right. And so, yeah, wonderful uses of AI there. Apple says it may remove some apps from the App Store if they don't attract users. I look at this and go, oh, so a whole bunch of scammy people are going to game Apple's system with SEO, get these apps that hit the store and have massive explosions, crowd everything else out, and now the only option you have for any given service is the scammy app who timed the SEO system. Wonderful. I'm looking forward to that. Well, I'm not, because I wouldn't, use Apple on a regular day-to-day basis. All right. So the tech giant said it may begin removing apps in certain well-established categories if they're not updated, improved, or attracting customers. Updated, I get it. If you're not updating your app, fine. Improved? What do you mean by that? Improved! Adding age verification. Improved! Collecting more data. Improved! Adding a subscription model. Or attracting customers is the one I have this serious problem with, because this means, hey, remember all those scammy people did with SEO in Google? Yeah, that's about to happen at the App Store. I hope you enjoyed your App Store while you had it. So the App Store, this was actually a corporate rewriting of one line that was kind of funny, but it was in the App Store policy for a while. Quote, the App Store has had enough fart, burp, flashlight, fortune teller, dating, drinking games, and Kama Sutra apps, etc. already. We will reject these apps unless they provide a unique, high quality experience. The other thing this does, if you look at the charts and have a look at those organizational charts, how many news media outlets there were in the 1980s compared to now. 1980s are like 60 different companies. Now it's like 4. And this is a serious problem because they're saying, hey, we're not just not going to let anybody add an app unless it brings a seriously unique or seriously high quality experience. And this means people starting out will not be able to start out. This is effectively an end to all new creations. Corporate has taken over. There can be nothing else now. That's a fundamental problem. Was Facebook amazing when it first came out? Of course not. I mean, it's not amazing now, I would argue, but it's at least featured and heavily used. But when we have this circumstance where you say, yeah, we're just not accepting anything else in this category, that's all we got. You have just consolidated things, broken up monopoly, and probably violated monopoly laws here, if I'm honest. But the problem is the only people that would be affected are those people just trying to start out. And guess what? They're not going to have the resources to sue Apple over it. So there you go. Apple is creating a closed ecosystem, which is completely destroying any future competition in any market. So they warn against opportunistically creating variants of existing app categories or popular apps. Obviously, if you have Angry Birds, don't make, Angry Chickens or something. But what they're saying here is an app has to be meaningfully different or improved. And those are both subjective terms. Who decides that? I think this app is meaningfully different. I mean, I think the app is meaningfully different and improved because it does not collect a bunch of data. Apple's like, well, we can't be having that. We need that sweet data. Okay. I mean, all right. So the company introduced personalized app recommendations. Oh, wonderful. Merchandising tools help developers grow their business and re-engaging existing users. That's right, folks. This is all about marketing. You have to be updating your app to make it annoy the hell out of everybody on your system. That's what they're doing. You have to be constantly updating it, constantly adding new features, constantly doing things. And then we're going, if you're not growing new people by utilizing our merchandising tools to help re-engage your existing users, that's the quickest way for me to get you to uninstall your app. In fact, there's one, I switched over to the Pixel 7 this week, and oh man, there's some things that are just so annoying. It's like, how do y'all use these? Even on Graphene OS, the new Android is annoying. I won't be able to take 17. I mean, I'm on 16. I won't be able to take 17. I don't think so. I'll be going back to the Stone Age. Right? But all that being said, it's like I get an app. It's like, oh, you gotta have this. Oh, you got this. What is it? VLC. I mean, something about VLC. It's like it needs permissions for storage. You go to the permissions, and there's nothing for storage. I had to mess with the thing like 16 different times. And then there's another app that's like, I don't want notifications, like a stock tracker app. I don't want the notifications. Every time you open it up, it's, oh, we need notifications. Send you notifications. I don't want notifications. Leave me the hell alone. And that's what all this is about. Re-engage your existing users. Hey, you haven't turned on notifications. Would you like to turn on notifications? How long before Apple starts turning notifications on when you've turned them off again? Because you got to re-engage your new users. I mean, otherwise you have no way of assessing if your app is actually growing. They're going to remove low-quality apps. Removing low-quality apps helps the App Store reduce clutter. That is true. Makes it easier for developers who are putting effort into having their apps discovered. Well, not really. Not apparently. If you're trying to get an app into some category that has a lot, I don't think you're going to do that. So, anyway. PC shipments have plunged in early 2026. I wonder why. Let's see. Gas is massively expensive now. Computers are massively expensive now. Of course, those that do need to get a new PC because their Windows 10 is dying very soon here. Oh, dear. We're going to have some serious problems. But, oh, yeah, PC shipments plunged early 2026. This mostly has to do with the AI marketing, the data centers, and the increase in costs. PC shipments have gone down this year. It looks like the market drop will come even more in the coming months. People don't have money anymore for your overpriced garbage computers. Ongoing memory shortage is the biggest factor affecting PC shipments, according to IDC. Though the market is complex, RAM shortages have driven up PC prices, such as flagship Surfaces, now $500 more. Was it we covered last week or 2 weeks ago? The Steam Deck is up almost 50%, and they sold out in one day. That's insane. Larger brands are somewhat insulated from the effects, Apple having a stockpile of components, but even tech giants will feel the squeeze eventually. The shortage has forced PC makers to offer or release options. By the way, do you know Microsoft is sitting on the entire warehouses where the RAM? They did not need to raise their Surface price $500. They just chose to because everyone else is raising their prices. We got a stockpile of RAM back there, They did talk about the MacBook Neo. They released this, and they talk about how other computers are going to do this. We're going to start seeing computers coming out with smaller amounts of RAM now, just so you can get something that functions. And frankly, I'm okay with that. Not everybody needs 35 gigs of RAM, well, 32 gigs of RAM in your system. The average user who's just getting online, watching a few things, doing email and writing documents, they can still get away with 8 gigs of RAM, I bet. Not when the AI is taking over things. Just switch to Linux, so you'll get on 2 or 4 gigs, So I don't know what the problem is, but whatever that is. This is fun. Free Spotify Premium hacks on social media are spreading info stealers. And I had some things to say. So, we've already seen attackers move away from traditional phishing emails and towards tactics that trick people to installing the malware themselves. This is the one that basically you go to the site and it tells you, what you need to do. You just need to hit your Windows R button and hit Control V and hit Enter. You're basically opening up the shell script and installing something. And so These things are promising Spotify Premium, free Windows activation, or free Microsoft Office, instead leaving people with info stealers on their Windows devices. Okay, so, I mean, here's the obvious commentary on a channel called Switch to Linux. If you're using Linux, you will not have an info stealer on your Linux device because this is designed for Windows. Secondly, you will not need a Windows activation key or an Office activation key if you're on Linux. Just use LibreOffice. If you need those cloud components, use something else. But there's many other open source things. You won't need to activate your Linux. You won't need to activate your Microsoft Office because you don't have it installed because LibreOffice is far superior. I mean, come on, you get that. And as far as the Spotify Premium. Well, I mean, if you're already willing to steal Spotify Premium, you may as well go sailing on the high seas and just install Jellyfin instead. Just saying. Not that I would advocate for such a thing, but, and I don't, by the way. I am not a fan of piracy. But if the companies make it to the point where you have no other choice, I'm not going to fault you for it either, okay? We'll put it that way. So the videos on these, they're basically doing, here's how it works. They're doing accounts with names like Windows Tips, Windows Insights, Windows style branding, post polished tutorial videos that resemble genuine tech support content. They promise to unlock Spotify Premium, Microsoft Office, or Windows for free. And of course, it basically is doing the click fix scams. Malware is identified as VIDAR and info stealing to steal sensitive information from infected devices. Saved browser passwords, so be careful of that. Autofill data, that would be your addresses and credit cards. Browser cookies, cryptocurrency wallets, any two-factor authentication, and this was a new one, Tor browser data. Obviously, this is going to impact it if you're in Tor browser and doing that. I'm going to guess the cross-section of people who are going to do random things like this and are using Tor is probably a fairly small overlap in the Venn diagram, but I guess it's still possible. Be careful out there, folks. The most AI-pilled firms are spending up to $7,500 per employee each month on AI. This is about half as much as you would pay for a full engineer, but probably about 2 to 3 times as much as you'd pay for a modern, a modern day low-level grunt. So, companies are spending a lot. Now, this is nowhere close to average. This is a serious anomaly, but it was definitely an interesting article nonetheless. And NVIDIA executive recently said the cost of compute is now greater than the salaries of his employees. That's right. Companies actually spending more on AI than humans? It depends. Top 1% of firms, which Ramp described as AI pill, they're spending $7,500 per month. Whether you think that's a lot or little depends on your perspective, but certainly not more than the roughly $16,000 per month that the average software engineer makes. But are you doing this? And hey, can you replace a few of your software engineers to do this? Pay them half as much as a whole software engineer? Kind of goes both ways. These are just the power users. Top 10% only spend about $611 monthly per employee. The median is only $11.38. So that means there is a massive spread in how much people are using. Probably a lot of those are zero. A lot of those, if the median is $11.38, but the 10% average is $611. There's a lot of spread in here. Although we don't know what's the top 10%. The top 10% monthly is an average. The median, is that the median of everybody or the median of just the top 10%? I would guess that's the median of everybody. So you have to look at how the statistics are done in here to really make any real usable sense of this data. The top 1% of firms tend to mix and match, opting to bounce between multiple frontier models, and platforms give them access to cheaper open source models. Okay. And cheaper open source models are definitely a way to go. You can spin up a llama on your laptop and run local models. I mean, I do that for clients. So, all right. And of course, though, the AI spending is going to keep going here because fresh off bond sale, Amazon borrows $17.5 billion from banks to continue spending AI. The bubble is getting bigger, folks. This is going to pop. So $17 billion just to do AI stuff. Now, they haven't said exactly what they're doing. This is not like a one-time loan they're getting of the giant cash. This operates more like a HELOC. type loan. So it's a delayed draw term loan. That means that they basically have a credit limit and they can borrow against it and pay back into it as they need to. And usually it lasts for a certain period of time and a certain interest rate. That way, if Amazon basically now they just have 17.5 billion sitting there, they can tap if they need to, but they don't pay any interest on it until they actually draw from it, and they only pay interest on what is drawn through at the time of the interest compilation. So there's a little bit there they're doing. It's not clear exactly how they plan to spend it, but they said it will be used for, quote, general corporate purposes is kind of what they're saying. All right, so that is what they're talking about there. So other companies though are borrowing money to spend massive AI build-outs. About a week ago, Google said that plans to raise $80 billion through stock sale to help investments in a balanced way while retaining a healthy balance sheet. Meta also announces plans to raise $30 billion in bond sale as well. So all these companies are spending for AI purposes, which is a frightening prospect. All right. Well, that is our quick lines. Of course, we do have a couple of Sillyville articles, and we're getting silly, folks. We're getting silly. All right. So first up, Apple's new health app can now tell you if you are premenopausal. I bet your husband can tell you that too, but that's another word. All right. So anyway, now the health app is collecting and utilizing so much data that it can now send you a pop-up notification if the app thinks you may be perimenopausal. Excuse me. I said perimenopausal. So Apple is getting on the hottest new trend in women's health, perimenopause. The company announced on Monday it's adding a perimenopause and menopause support to its existing cycle tracking feature. It has been pushing deeper into women's health since 2019 when it added a cycle tracker to the Apple Watch. The tracker lets women log key information about their menstrual cycle and fertility through the app. According to research published in the journal Menopause, an estimated 1.1 billion women worldwide are postmenopausal as of last year, and digital health tools target that trending demographic have attracted significant investment in recent years. Like, I'm still punting. I mean, clearly I'm not a woman. Clearly I'm not going to do menopause. How is it useful if your phone tells you this? Hey, you're going through this. I would figure the changes in your body would probably told you about this. I mean, am I crazy or what's the situation here? I don't know. According to Apple's Stacey Ford, Vice President of OS Product Management, women can be able to receive notifications when their cycle patterns are suggestive of perimenopause. So that's all you need. You're sitting there in a meeting, your phone beeps, you look at your notification, and the thing says you're perimenopausal. Why? This is nothing more than collecting your health data for crazy, weird, backdoor, nefarious purposes. I don't know. I don't know what else to think about this. And, of course, our final story here. Watch this robot drop kick a kid to the chest. That's right. And I hear... let's go ahead and play this. I'm gonna mute this. I'm gonna mute it here. Like I said, my audio is not exactly working on this end, but you see the robots over here dancing. It's just doing the cool martial arts things, and whack! I hear that kid's name is John Connor, by the way, but you know. So there you go. This Kung Fu robot's going to take you out. Now, of course, you notice here, nobody's doing anything. All right, good. Let's get the kid out of here. None of these kids are like laughing about this. How'd you like to get kicked in the nards by this robot, man? I mean, really. So the robot revolution is coming. He found his target. That kid's name was John Connor, of course. An attraction to the child was not seriously hurt, but mom complained the staff was too slow to react. Yeah, I didn't see anybody reacting. Of course, I would have activated father mode and Hulk smash that robot and maybe let the kid go in and take a kick at it too, you know. The kid's name happened to be John Connor, of course. Is that Sean O'Malley? There you go. So there you go. The robots are now drop kicking young children, and the beginning of the robot revolution is upon us, folks. Let me Let me know your thoughts about all those in the comments down below.